Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lisner Auditorium. We would like to remind you that the taking of photographs and the use of recording or filming devices are strictly prohibited. We also request that you turn off all cell phones. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, Rocco Landesman.
Thanks. Okay. On behalf of the National Endowment for the Arts and our partners, the Library of Congress, the American Folklife Center, and the National Council for the Traditional Arts, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the 2012 National Heritage Fellowship Concert. I would like to extend a special welcome to everyone watching the live webcast on arts.gov. One of our honorees, Molly Neptune Parker, said, "Basket making for me is about innovation and creativity within the context of a traditional art form." I believe these words apply to everyone we are honoring tonight. The NEA National Heritage Fellowships recognize folk and traditional artists for their artistic excellence, innovation, as well as their efforts to protect and share their contributions to America's culture for generations to come. These fellowships are the nation's highest honor in the folk and traditional arts and include an award of $25,000. This year's 9 recipients are masters of diverse traditional art forms, including 2 that have never before been honored through National Heritage Fellowships: Okinawan dancing and dog sled and snowshoe building. In addition, for the first time ever, the NEA is recognizing a director of a state arts agency for his work in promoting the importance of the folk and traditional arts. At the NEA, we are working to invest in, support, and celebrate all the arts in this country. And tonight's NEA National Heritage Fellows are not only national leaders in their art forms, but also leaders in their communities. And you're here to see and celebrate the fellows, not me. So let me end my remarks here and let the show begin. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our host for this evening, the voice and spirit behind public radio's American Roots, Nick Spitzer.
All right, folks, glad to be here. This is always my favorite event of the year. And I kind of imagine it's yours too, right? Or you wouldn't be here. Yeah. We just heard an amazing clarinet solo. Let's meet the 2012 Heritage Fellow, Andy Statman. There's your cigar, Mr. Statman. Yeah, so good to see you out here, man.
Bob, it's good to see you.
Oh, yeah, we bombed. We haven't bombed yet. Give them a little time to decide whether we bombed or not.
That's true.
We bonded. Yeah,
on the road to Washington, right?
that's it. What were you playing, Dave?
That was a melody written by the Boston Rebbe of New York, Chaim Avram Horowitz, and very compelling melody written in the last, I'd say 20 years, but sounds like it's a oldie.
Yeah, from another time.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, you know, you're known to most people, not all people, many people think of you as a klezmer musician, but you've had an amazing musical journey. Say a little about where it begins and where it led you.
You know, I started out playing bluegrass and
In Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn
Right.
bluegrass.
Grass grows in Brooklyn.
Are you from Brooklyn? Yes, I'm from Brooklyn.
I didn't know your whole family was here to do this for you, brother.
No, those are people I paid. So.
Oh.
Anyway, actually I lived in Queens at that time, so. No, I lived in the Bronx. Staten Island, Spokane, Washington, Atlanta, Georgia. It's the night train. No.
You know, let me rephrase the question. In 25 years or less, could you tell us about your musical journey?
Anyway, I was going wild on bluegrass, and then I heard the great saxophonist Albert Ayler and John Coltrane, and I decided it was time to play saxophone, so I got into jazz. And then jazz at that point was into modal music and ethnic music, and I began remembering some of the sounds of traditional Jewish instrumental music I heard as a child, what we today call klezmer music, and began trying to learn that.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing story, and it just goes on and on. I've heard him play klezmer surf country at times, so he's quite a wonderful eclectic who pulls it together. But you were here at Heritage Awards in Washington a few years ago.
Yeah, I was actually more years than a few. I think
Okay.
it was back in the early to mid 80s. And my teacher, Dave Tarras, one of my teachers, who was the great klezmer clarinetist, he asked me to come down and accompany him to play mandolin, and if he wasn't feeling well, he would sit down and I would take over on the clarinet. So we started out with the first melody, and I remember Ralph Stanley was a fellow awardee there, sitting there with his band with Curly Ray Klein, and Clifton Chenier was there. So we start playing a type of improvisation called the doina, and I was playing a mandolin, and Dave was playing beautifully, and then Dave started giving me this look. I've never seen this look before. Musicians use eye signals all the time to communicate different things. And Dave was giving me this eye signal I had never seen before, and just looking at me like this, slowly shaking his head and playing clarinet. And I was thinking to myself, you know, what does he want me to do? What's happening? He kept on looking, and then all of a sudden, he slumped over, slid down the bass, and was out on the floor with a massive heart attack. So the guitar player in the band, Bob Jones, knew how to do mouth thrust resuscitation and kept him alive until the hospital people came, and he was in the hospital for a few months and recovered and lived a number of productive years afterwards.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, he told me that story today, and I was like, just like you, Mo. Of course, then we went on to our shtick about a living tradition, et cetera, et cetera.
So Nick.
Yeah, we can't stop. After this, we're going on the road together as frickin' frack or something. I don't know what it's going to be.
As Bing and Bob, I think.
Yeah, we'll be just fine. Well, he's here for something else entirely tonight, I guess. Andy Statman, you are a man of all seasons and a man of all kinds of music. Would you like to join that group over there and give us a little bit of your music? Give him a round of applause. Andy Statman. And he's got Jim Whitney on bass, Larry Eagle on drums, his regular guys, and they are fantastic. All right. Whoa, Andy Statman. How about that? You know, he's just so happy he avoided the hook. But he'll be back. We might get to that surf music yet. Andy's neighborhood is known as Flatbush in Brooklyn. Yeah. And he calls it Old Brooklyn. I like that. He's got a CD out, double CD with a map of Brooklyn, and he plays old-time country and klezmer and, yeah, surf music. Does it all. Great to hear tradition going into modern and beyond overdrive and still loving everything that fed right into it. Well, now we're going to move quite a distance from urban New York to the flat landscape of the northern plains, and we're going to meet dog sled and snowshoe builders, Paul and Darlene Bergren, and they're joined by their son, Terry. Make them welcome, Paul and Darlene Bergren and Terry Bergren. Who let the dogs in? Nice to see you, Bergrens. How y'all doing?
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Oh, we're just so happy to have you here. Tell me just a little bit about how you got started making dog sleds.
Well, we got started in this. My son Terry wanted a snowmobile to run his trap line with, and I wasn't a mechanic to keep it running, so I decided it would be better to buy a dog and that would pull a sled for him, and we figured out how to make a sled.
I was going to say, it's easier to buy a dog than to build a sled.
It sure was.
And how did this sled come together? I mean, what'd you put in the first sled?
Well, I had to find some runner material, and over in the eastern part of the state, I found some oak that we made runners out of, and our problem was finding material to make the uprights out of. And Terry happened to play hockey, and gee, hockey sticks really worked well. They made a great sled.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, Darlene, what does it take to have a sled that's both light and also so durable? I guess it has to be going over the snow and the rough terrain.
Well, this is made out of all white ash, and it's a lighter weight wood.
Okay.
And so we've kind of condensed everything down to make it much lighter. I think this sled weighs about 15 pounds.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing. And what are the joins on here? I see all these join points. What's holding it together?
That's lashed together by rawhide.
Okay. That's just amazing. It's beautiful to look at that. Now, we got Terry over here. He's our demonstrator, I suppose you could say. Terry, tell us a little about navigating with the sled. How do you do it?
Well, this sled here, it's kind of like going downhill, you know, if anybody's ever did any downhill skiing. You kind of steer the sled the same way. You pull the sled back like that, or left or right, depending on whatever direction you're going.
Yeah.
You can pull it back. If you're going into a spot where there's moguls, a low spot in the trail, you can just pull the sled back.
You know, that sounds a lot easier than I think it is.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Now these sleds are, I mean, what are they used for now? I mean, you're not out packing across the ice floes, are you?
No, we're not. These are sprint racing sled. This specific style, if it was a distance sled or an Iditarod type sled, the basket would be much longer, and Terry'd be standing more to the rear of the runner. Sprint racing sleds are made to basically carry a person, and so the man is actually standing pretty well mid-runner, keeping him ahead of the whiplash.
Where have some of your sleds gone in competition?
Well, they've pretty well gone all over the world. We've got them in Europe and in Japan and
No kidding.
pretty well everywhere. Yeah.
And you're pretty close up there to the Canadian border, aren't you?
Yeah, we're about 40 miles south of Canada.
Yeah, so you've done a little sledding in Canada too, I would think.
Yeah, we sure have. They're a great bunch of dog drivers up there. and
Are they?
We enjoy it much.
Yeah, I've always thought that about the Canadians too.
You bet.
We don't let them in on these fellowships down here, you know. Well, you know, actually, there is one thing missing from this, and I think you guys know what it is. Do you know what it is? The dogs. Someone said the dogs. Yeah, we don't have any dogs here tonight. How many dogs have you had over the years?
Well, we've had as many as 100.
Yeah.
And
You mean at one time or over?
well, we had 100 at one time. I had 5 kids racing at one time.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Can you, the names of the dogs and the kids, which would you prefer to start on here now?
Probably the dogs would be easier.
Don't take it hard. I know this one.
I'd probably go blank.
Jerry? You said your name was Jerry, right? Jerry? Terry. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, so of these dogs, though, I mean, are there dogs that stand out over the years? And then what makes a great dog for the sledding?
What makes a great dog is a dog that's willing to take the pressure of a team chasing him and still accept the commands of the driver.
Okay.
And they have to be fast and an outstanding individual.
Yeah, so is there one outstanding individual in the dog pack over the years?
Well, there has been. We've had quite a few. I had a real good one for myself that Terry had trained, and her name was Cola, and she kept me out of trouble. Pretty well babysit me all over the trail. I didn't have to worry about getting tangled up with another team or anything. She just stayed away from them. And
Okay. Well, it's just great to have you here. I think this is the first time a dog sled has been on stage in Washington, D.C., and I hope it's not the last. And I want to thank you for coming all the way in from Minot, North Dakota to say hello to us. And congratulations on the Heritage Award. Yeah. Paula and Darlene Bergren, Terry Bergren. All right. Well, now I get to introduce a longtime friend of mine and a friend of the folk and traditional arts. He's really a legend in the field. What I really wanted to say was he's like the farmer. He's outstanding in his field. More on that in a moment. Yeah, I know. He's a legend. You know, I get around Andy Statman, and this is what happens to me. He is really well known for initiating folk arts programs in 3 states, Florida, and then Louisiana. That's where he first hired me. And I basically say anything that I go awry with, you can just blame on Al Head. Because he really did train me in many ways on how to do things that I was not yet able to do. So I look up to Al greatly. And then he went on, and for the last 28 years, he has been the head of the Alabama Arts Council. He is a native Alabaman. He's the recipient of the Best Lomax Hawes Award, named after the folk arts director who initiated this, the whole Heritage Fellowships program. And this award is meant to honor people who made special contributions to public awareness of folk and traditional arts. So let's make welcome the man from Alabama, Al Head. I think he's, oh, there he is. That's how we did things in Louisiana.
my Connecticut Yankee friends.
There you go, Al. Glad you're here, Al. Oh, you got a mic.
I got one of these.
Well, if that fails, Al, I want to make sure every word, that we get every word.
I got it, okay.
Al, take us back to your own youth in Alabama and the kind of cultures around you as a kid and what you saw growing up.
Well, Nick, I grew up in what they call the Wiregrass region of Alabama, Pike County, Troy in particular, and kind of a rural area of the state. But most of my folks were Troy, and on my dad's side, actually, it was China Grove, and which is a little bit hard to find these days. And my dad used to tell the story when he was being interviewed going overseas for the Normandy invasion, the sort of the interrogation of officers, and they asked Captain Head, "Where were you born?" He said, "China Grove." And he said, "Well, where's China Grove?" He said, "Well, between Orion and Needmore." And they said, "Well, where in the world? Needmore and Orion?" He said, "Well, that's right down the road from Blue's old stand." And they said, "Well, Captain Head, you can just go."
Yeah, right. Nowadays, they'd be really suspicious of it, probably.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I will say this. Al's got an entourage here. Are the head entourage in the house tonight? It seems like he's got, a good portion of central Alabama here, which is good. But of course, I've been talking to them all, trying to find out those secret tales of Al, and, they're pretty tight-lipped for you, Al. They're taking care of you.
I appreciate that.
But Al is a rare bird, and let me just say this. You majored in art and painting at...
Art history and aesthetics.
Oh, and aesthetics.
Yeah,
Okay, even
yeah,
more so at
right.
Troy State. But Al was also a nationally known quarterback. So, when I encountered him, I'm thinking, this is incredible. The quarterback is an arts person, and he's hip to folk arts here in Louisiana. And so it was just amazing. But how do these things fit together for you?
Well, I'm not so sure how well they fit together, other than the fact that at one time football was a big part of my life. But in terms of college and studying and things I was interested in, I was always interested in the arts. I grew up in a family and had a great grandmother and grandmothers and others who were involved in the arts, who painted and played the piano, and I always sort of felt that was important, and I placed value there. And when I was in college and playing, I majored in a number of different things before I finally determined that really art history was where I had a real love and passion for that kind of information. And a lot of the fellow players would look sideways at me and say, "What in the world are you doing?" But anyway, it was an area that served me pretty well, I guess.
No question. And I can tell you that Al, over the years, and I went through some amazing moments working in Louisiana, crazy struggles. David Duke was after us once for a Vietnamese photo exhibit that we did, and we had to defend it in front of a finance committee. And I said, "Al, so what are we going to do? How do you want me to handle this?" And he just said, "Run down the clock." That's what we did, and they gavelled him off at the end.
Run down the clock and punt a few times.
Yeah, we did punt several times through. That's true. Now, we both knew Bess Hawes, and I just was going to ask you, your memories of Bess.
Well, Bess was a lovely lady, a very kind lady, but Bess was always everybody's favorite grandmother, and she was not bashful about telling you what to do or a few ideas. I have told the story about when I went to Louisiana in 77. She said there are two things, one you have to do and one you need to do. You have to take care of Dewey Balfa, a well-known Cajun musician from Louisiana.
Right, and a heritage recipient. Yeah.
I think in the first class.
Right. I think you're right. 82
winners.
probably. Yeah.
He said the second thing is that you need to hire Nick Spitzer, which obviously I did.
The Supreme Soviet requested that.
But Bess had a lot of love for folklorists and for folk artists. And when I went to Alabama some years later, she said, "There's another Dewey that you need to take care of, and that's Dewey Williams."
Right.
The
great shape note singer.
Yeah,
African American, down in the Wiregrass country.
Yeah, that's right. But you and I do go way back, and go way back with Bess, and she you were one of her favorites, and I shared this story with you just a day or so ago. But I remember, Bess, when you were ill and having a real bout with cancer. We were raising some funds for you. Bess called me on the phone and she said, I'm going to send you a check every month for Nick, and I'm going to continue to send it to you until you tell me that I no longer need to send that check. And these were not small checks. But I tell this story, and I asked Nick about it. I tell the story because a few of you out here perhaps didn't know Bess and don't know of the kind of person that she was. And that, for me, is a really good example of how much love and how much caring she had for her guys.
Oh, yeah, you know, she was great. Well, you know, after I finally got out of the hospital and got back, and I didn't look too good for a long while, but I was walking around there, and I don't think many people expected me to come back. And in Baton Rouge, if you rise from the dead, let me tell you, you can get a lot done. I would ask people for all kinds of things they never would have done with me before that in the program.
Right.
So
That's right.
I appreciate that, Al. It's all good. You have, over the years, I mean, Alabama is an amazing state. It's one of those states I think people sometimes overlook, maybe because it's so rural or they're not as aware of all the deep culture. But you've been involved with people, Moselle Benson and Jerry Brown, the Potter, and many great folk artists that have received this award, but in general, working all the time with your folks.
Sure, Birmingham Sunlights most
Yeah.
recently,
Oh, yeah,
but we've just, I mean, Alabama is rich in terms of folk culture, and,
Right.
and I think you don't have to talk many people into understanding that. And if you don't support folk culture in Alabama, something's kind of wrong with you. But we have some wonderful artists. We have some great folklorists, folks that have been doing field work. Joey Brackner, who's the director of our Center for Traditional Culture, has been doing great. He's from Alabama. He loves Alabama. He's been doing great work for a long time. And before Joey, Hank Willett was director of the center. He was a former National Endowment for the Arts regional coordinator, but did great work in Alabama. And then, you know, we've had a really good team of people, and it's been easy for me to let them do what they do best.
Well, I just got to say, Al's been a great person to work for and a great friend over the years, and I'm just so excited you received this award, Al. And great to see the family out here.
Yeah.
And we may need a quarterback down with the Saints soon, Al.
I don't think so, not me. An honor and a pleasure, Nick. Thank you.
Al Head. Thank you, Al. Lynne Yoshiko Nakasone is the first Okinawan dancer to be honored with the National Heritage Fellowship. She's also a choreographer and a teacher, and she's been named a living treasure of Hawaii. And in her school, she is known as Sensei Nakasone, or teacher, as a master teacher. She's trained hundreds of students, and in 2006 she was honored for having given over 1,000 goodwill performances for her community. Please make welcome to the stage Sensei Nakasone. Sensei Nakasone with her daughters, Julia and Lisa.
Thank you, everybody.
Who was that woman with the beard out here? How long have you been dancing?
Oh, 73 years or more.
Or more. Whoa. And could you tell us a little bit, what was the dance that you just did?
Sure. This is a combination dance. The first part is called Kaja de Fu, and it's about the king of Okinawa, or the Ryukyu king, the happiness he felt when he first heard his son, who everyone thought was mute, speak for the first time. So you can imagine the happiness he felt. The second part is called Medetai Bushi, and in Japanese, many people understand or know the word omedetou gozaimasu, which means congratulations. So this dance is a congratulatory dance of happiness. And we would also like at this time to congratulate the rest of the 8 other Heritage Fellows that won this award as well.
Yeah. Excellent. And while we're in the mode of congratulating people, let's thank these great musicians up here. Beautiful. On koto, it's Yasuko Arakawa and Grant Murata and Kenton Odo on the sanshin. Jun Nakama on the taiko. Now, you've been a teacher over the years. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, maybe you ought to wrestle for this one, because I wanted to ask you, what goes through your mind when you see your daughters dancing with you? How do you feel about your daughters dancing?
Oh, she well, done good, and I feel so happy today together can dance on this stage. She will continue, and she going to teach another generation and another generation.
And you, daughters, Julia and Lisa, how do you feel about being out with your mother here tonight?
We're always very proud of her. Thank you very much. She works incredibly hard, no matter, morning through night if need be. And we're actually having our 56th anniversary recital on October 20th, right after we return, to celebrate her fellowship as well as 56 years of our dance academy. And so she's still plugging away, teaching every day.
All right. You want to say? Well, we thank you so much, Sensei Nakasone.
Can I have 1 second,
Sure.
please? The 3 individuals that are playing jikata for us, I practice this so hard, so I have to say this, I'm sorry. Grant Sensei, Kenten Sensei, and Jun Sensei are from the Ryukyu Koten Afso Ryu Ongaku Kenkyu Choichikai Hawaii chapter. And their sensei, who is Terukina Choichi Sensei, who resides and teaches in Okinawa, Japan, is a Japan National Living Treasure as well.
Nice.
Yes.
Hands across the water there,
Yes,
across
absolutely.
the Pacific. All right. Well, we thank you so much, Sensei Nakasone, daughters, honored musicians. Thank you all. I probably don't have to tell you that Washington, D.C. has been a hotbed of bluegrass over the years. Do I? And I think you know that there's been a long migration to this region of people from the South. But in a way, Washington is classically in the South. And I have to admit, I like JFK's old quip, Washington, D.C., he used to say, Northern charm, Southern efficiency. Whoa, okay. That's That's the Massachusetts perspective, and we can go with that once in a while. But look, Southern charm here has taken many shapes, too. And I think one of the great shapes is old-time country and bluegrass music, okay? I used to get to go out to the Red Fox Inn and Partners 2 and the Birchmere, and I miss those places. And I also know that bluegrass here took a special shape because people in the city and the region experimented with the sound and innovated with the sound. And one of the founding members of one of the most beloved local bands that did that, the seldom seen, is Mike Auldridge. He is a pioneer. He set a standard of performance on the instrument known as the dobro. A lot of people look at the banjo and the fiddle, they forget the dobro. And here he is. All right. And with Mike is Rob Ikes, a great dobro master in his own right. Now, Jerry's had a little problem with his voice, and so we're going to let him do his talking mainly with the dobro this evening. I'm sorry, Mike. You got the mic, you're Mike, and you're Rob.
All right.
But the talking will be done by the dobro. Okay, I think we got it. Tell us about that dobro, Rob.
Well, the dobro is an amazing instrument. It was invented in the late 1920s, and it's a really unique combination of wood and metal. It has a metal resonator inside a wood body guitar, and that combination gives it its really distinctive tone, and nobody makes it sound as good as this guy right here.
Oh, yeah. Now, how did you first encounter Mike's music?
Well, I, like many thousands of other people, got turned on to the dobro through hearing Mike. And when I was 13 years old, I specifically remember we were driving home from my first bluegrass festival, and my brother put in a tape of Mike Auldridge's first album, and I flipped out. You know, it was like a lightning bolt experience. And it's funny because that was 30 years ago, and I talked to so many people who have had that same experience after hearing this guy play.
Yeah.
So it changed my life, and it has changed so many other people's lives.
The thing about the dobro that amazes me is it just almost has a sort of a human wailing quality to it, and it's happy and it's sad and it's so expressive.
Well, yeah, and that's what this guy did so well. Mike, you can draw a line at Mike Auldridge, and there was the dobro before Mike and the dobro after. And somehow the dobro is played with a metal bar in your left hand, metal finger picks in your right hand, and metal strings. So there's a lot of room for noise, okay?
Yeah, no kidding.
And somehow this guy figured out how to get rid of the noise and just leave the music. And he just gets such an incredibly beautiful tone, and he played so clean. But not only that, but he also was the first guy to take the dobro and put it front and center through his solo albums and his work with the Seldom Seen and so many other great bands. He brought it to a new level of artistry and musicality, and took the dobro and into other music genres besides bluegrass and country. So he's accomplished so much in his life, and I'm so proud of him.
Yeah. Well, there's a lineage in the family. We learn about these things rehearsing and meeting and talking that we don't know. I'm a huge Jimmie Rodgers fan.
Me too.
And then we find out today that Mike's uncle was in Jimmie Rodgers' band at one point.
Yes.
Yeah. And played on some of the
Ellsworth
recordings.
Cousins.
Yeah.
And
Ellsworth Cousins.
Yes, and that was the first Hawaiian guitar recorded on any country music was Mike's uncle. So he comes from a good pedigree.
Yeah, and I know that you and Mike and another former fellow on the dobro, Jerry Douglas, are working on a record together.
We are. We've
How
been
about
working the
that?
last year, 3 dobros, and it's been such a great experience for all of us.
Well, I have to just share one anecdote. When I used to work at the Smithsonian, I would go out and do interviews for Radio Smithsonian. And one time I went to interview Doc Watson, and Mike had been there before me talking to him. I think he had a gig at the Birchmere that night or something. And I saw him kind of walk in and saunter out, and he was so cool, and he had his dobro. And I told a friend of mine, I said, you know, Mike Auldridge, he's so resolute and steady. He's like the Clint Eastwood of the dobro. And I told him that today.
Thanks, Nick. You just made my day.
All right, you ready to give us a little bit of music? Okay, let's hear it. Mike Auldridge, accompanied by Rob Ikes, and guess what? Andy Statman. All right, give them all a big round of applause. Mike Auldridge. Mike Auldridge. Rob Ikes. Andy Statman. I told you here's some surf music. Who wants to name the tune? Come on, easy, too easy for you guys. You all know so much. Molly Neptune Parker's mother always told her, if you can make baskets, you'll never go hungry. And that was really in two ways up there in the Maine woods. She could go out and gather things to eat and keep them in the basket, and she also could take those decorative baskets to town or to the Indian store for a little bit of income. And today her baskets are sought by people from very far away from Maine in museums and collectors and all over, and she's also beloved in Maine. Please make welcome Passamaquoddy basket maker Molly Neptune Parker.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
And who we got here with you?
This is my grandson, George Neptune.
All right, George.
He's one of my little students.
Oh, yeah. Well, the little students got pretty big.
He sure did.
Which is a good thing. Now, the name Neptune is just such a beautiful name.
Thank you. It's been in the family for many, many years. Yeah. And I think, if I can remember correctly, Neptune is a name for the line of chiefs from way, way back. Mm-hmm. Chiefs that were traditional instead of election and stuff like that. It was from way back in the family.
Old way of doing things. You have been making baskets through your family. How far back does basket making go in and beyond your family?
Oh my goodness, it's been so, I think from what we can trace, it's about 6 generations in my family, and maybe even more.
Okay. Now, George, what have you got going on over here? What are you working on? Whoa.
I'm working on a small strawberry. My grandmother makes the larger red strawberries, and I make mine and I dip them in red and in green so that they're unripe.
Yeah, now how has she been as a teacher for you over the years?
Good and bad. She's a very easy teacher in the sense that she's always willing to show you something over and over again, but bad in the sense that she'll often take my work apart when I go to the bathroom.
Oh, and re-wave it, huh?
She'll say,
Did
oh,
I
you
do
made
that?
a mistake at the bottom. Like it was the pattern, and she's like, oh, wow.
Well, looking at these things over here, I think she's probably on solid ground in terms of getting things the way they ought to be. Molly, let's talk about some of the materials that you've got here.
Okay, this is a piece of brown ash. Mm-hmm. It comes from a tree that we have in Maine. This is the outer side of ash before it's pounded. Mm-hmm. Now, once it gets pounded, it comes apart like this. Mm-hmm. And then, naturally, we're going to pound the whole thing in order for us to strip.
Right.
And then after we do that, then what we do is we usually try to, this is another section that will be before the finishing. Mm-hmm. So what we do with this is we have tools that are handmade, which are these. And they're very sharp, these are 3 different sizes. I only bought a few with me. But there is so many other things that we have to do to prepare the ash, and it takes quite a while. And what I do is mostly like scrape it and then split it. I didn't bring my splitter with me, but showing this gives you an idea as to what it looks like shortly before.
Beautiful.
See how thin it is?
Yeah,
and then I'll
amazing.
scrape it to make it very smooth.
That's beautiful just to see it in the raw. You've also got something that smells pretty good here.
Oh, this is called sweetgrass. This is what sweetgrass looks like before we, right after the picking, from the saltwater marshes. And it smells very sweet. And this is the ending product of braiding. My cousin does the braiding for me. I usually can do it if I wanted to, but she's a good braider. She braids so fast that her hands will hum as she goes along. This is 100 yards of sweetgrass braided.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It smells good, too.
And it smells good.
Yeah, it smells great. Now, how's George doing while we were talking?
Well, George is doing good, but we have to watch him because
I know. Yeah. Okay. Leave George be for a little while.
Okay.
What do we got here? We got some amazing baskets. I love this this large one right here.
This is my favorite to make. This is, we call this porcupine twist. What we do is we put the first portion of the ash flat, and the second piece we put on right up over, and we twist it one way, and then turn it and twist it the other way.
Right.
So we do that right from the beginning, right up to the time we get through, and then add some sweetgrass to it.
And there's another type of curl you do as well.
Yes, it's this one right here.
Okay.
This is called a curly basket, and we basically do the same thing. What we do is we start off with a flat basket, and as we go along, we curl it. And it makes it a double basket. And I do the same thing with the strawberry. Whoops.
Oh, I love this, yeah. Strawberry.
This is a strawberry. Here again, this is a double basket. Double weave. The inside is flat, and on the outsides, it's curly. And we've got, how many, we counted these, George. How many curls are they? 538. Says 538. He's good. He counted them.
Whoop. I'll just set it down, it's okay.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed that you've got, on both these baskets, there's a flower. Where does the flower come in?
That comes from what I can trace, that comes from my grandmother. And she passed away in 1945, and we knew she made baskets, but at the time we didn't have none of her work. So until about maybe a few months ago, the guy that works at our museum found a basket that had similar baskets added on.
You mean flowers on that?
Yes.
You think it was hers?
It was hers.
No kidding.
She had signed it.
Oh my, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's how I knew it was hers.
That's great.
And then my mother, she did the same thing also.
Okay, she kept going. Now let's not let that little acorn fall. Why don't you pick it up? This is kind of your signature, just
Yes,
like
it is.
Grandma had done the flowers.
Yeah.
You have been the acorn person.
Yes, I use these for, when I first started, I really enjoyed making the acorns. So I says, well, I need business cards. So what I did was these are my business cards with the acorn on them. So that.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the business card fits inside the acorn.
Yes.
Excellent. We love it.
Thank
It's important to get crafts to the world and have that business card in the middle of things. Now, I know that in addition to your involvement with native crafts, you've been interested in preserving the culture of the Passamaquoddy. Princeton, Maine is whereabouts?
It's middle of nowhere, but
Thank you. We've had a few of those tonight.
no, it's near, well, about, I think it's 90 miles north of east of Bangor, Maine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we're
everything's
about,
east in Maine.
Yeah, and we're
As you go.
about 20 miles from the
Right.
Canadian border.
Okay.
So we're way up there.
You're out there, yeah. It's beautiful country. And you've worked with the languages. Is there something you could tell the folks tonight in Passamaquoddy?
Yes, it's been such a long week for me, so I figured that I will thank everybody in my language for being here tonight. Thank you very much.
All right. Molly Neptune Parker and George Neptune, the grandson. Thanks so much for spending some time with us, bringing the beautiful baskets. You see why I like this show. It's just awesome. You know, we've seen here craft traditions handed down in a family, new young energy coming into it, and the same is true in a gospel music family that we're about to bring you. They've been inspired by the Golden Gate Quartet, among other popular groups, and the Reverend Frank Paschall Sr. began singing gospel music in the 1940s. And by the 80s, he'd formed his own quartet consisting of his sons and his sons-in-law. And although Frank Sr. has passed away, that tradition is carried on by 2 generations of musical offspring. And I'd like you to welcome from Chesapeake, Virginia, the Paschall Brothers. All right. All right. Looking good tonight, gentlemen.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we got Reverend Terrence Paschall here, and good friend of the family and band, Johnny Lewis, right in the middle of things. And I'm not sure if it's in-law or outlaw, but we got Renard Freeman and Renard Freeman Jr. Oh, yeah. Now, how old were you when you started singing with your dad?
When we started singing, when I was singing with my dad, I was about 21 years old when I started singing.
Oh, you mean out in public?
Out in public.
But you were in church before that, I'm
about
sure.
6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, sure.
I was a little guy.
Uh-huh.
Was, in the church choir.
Yeah. Now, how did the in-laws get into the mix here, Mr. Renard? How did you all get in here?
Torrance married my sister.
Okay. All right.
And,
was that a strategy to get him as a singer, or?
That was one of them.
Yeah, and then down on the end, you are the next generation Renard Jr., right? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. Oh, okay. Well, how was it singing? I mean, did you have to be auditioned to get into this group, or did?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. It was kind of a family thing and an audition thing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of.
Yeah.
You know.
It's okay to hire your family if they're qualified, I've heard.
Exactly.
Now, when we think of what you do, we think of 4-part harmony. Yes. Yeah, and it's so intricately interwoven. How do you all keep the voices working together, not just in harmony, but you know, entry points, exit points? How does that come to be so precise and so beautiful when you do it? What makes it happen?
It's a matter of knowing where you belong and where you don't belong, really.
Maybe I better get off the stage pretty quick here.
You know, I think we've been taught everyone's pitch. And if you're singing someone else's pitch, if you're singing your pitch, you stay on your pitch.
Right.
If someone's on your pitch, you stay on your pitch.
Yeah.
Until they get off your pitch.
There you go. Now, you know, these guys never have any arguments of any kind, do you?
No.
That's what I thought. Except that in rehearsal yesterday, one was wearing a Redskins jersey and one was wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey. Hey, come on, I'm a Saints fan. How do you think I feel at this point? Well, are y'all ready for some great gospel music? Me too. The Paschall Brothers.
Oh, brother, shout when you're feeling blue. That's the thing to do. Pray before you go to bed. Thank Him for your daily bread. When I get to heaven, gonna sing and shout. There'll be nobody there to warn me out.
Well, I'm gonna look for Brother David in the heat of the day.
Tune up my heart, begin to play. Oh, my brother, shout when you're feeling blue. That's the thing to do. Pray morning, noon, and night. Only you be sure to see the light. Open up the good book and find Psalm 23. Brothers and sisters, why don't you listen and pray before you go to bed? shout and live right every day. But don't forget to
P-R-A-Y.
pray.
Children, you'd better run.
Run when I say.
Somebody's calling you, you better run. Run when I say somebody's calling you, you better run. Somebody is calling you, and I feel like my time may long, long, long. Children, you better run. Somebody is calling you, you better run. Run when I say somebody's calling you, you better run. Somebody is calling you, and I feel like my time may long, long, long. Well, now meet me, Jesus, meet me in the middle of the air. If my wings should fail me, my Lord, just meet me with another pair. Children, you better run. Somebody's calling you, you better run. Run when I say somebody's calling you, you better run. Well, somebody is calling you, and I feel like my time may long, long, long.
Well, somebody said, give me silver. Somebody even offered me some gold. But I said, no, give me Jesus, because he saved my dying soul.
Children, you better run.
When I say
somebody is calling you, you better run. When I say somebody's calling you, you better run. Well, you know somebody is calling you, and I feel like my time ain't long, long, long.
Badum, boom, 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 badum, boom, boom, badum, badum, dum, 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 badum, dum, dum, badum, badum, dum, 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 badum, dum, badum, badum, dum, dum, badum, dum, badum, 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 badum.
Father, oh Lord, come on and ease my troubled mind. Oh Lord, my Father, oh Lord, come on and ease my troubled mind. Oh, when I lay down to die, want you to take me to my home on high. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, come on and ease my tale beat by Paul and Silas locked in jail. They had no one to go there bail. But Paul prayed, Silas sing. The heavenly bell began to ring. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, come on and ease my tale beat by the Hebrew children in the fiery furnace were delivered when they should have burned. The king cried, I see four. The king cried, I see four. It must have been the Son of God. It must have been the Son of God. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. I wanna thank you. I wanna thank you. I wanna thank you. I wanna thank you. Oh Lord, oh Lord, oh
All right. All right. How about it? How about it? Paschall Brothers. Wow. Don't step. Don't step where you're not supposed to. Well, we are going to hug the coast. We're going to go back up towards New England. I never mind that. Harold Burnham is from Essex, Massachusetts. He comes from a very long line of boat builders that count 11 generations. The town where he lives and works has hosted shipwrights for over 350 years. He's carried on that tradition, and at the same time, he's teaching new generations of designers and builders of boats, wooden boats. Let's meet him. He's a master shipwright, Harold Burnham. All right, Harold. We're clearing the decks here for you. Tell me about how you got down here.
We sailed down.
Of course you did. You see, the endowment, you know, with the budget cuts and all. No, I'm just kidding. Tell me about the voyage.
We came down in the schooner Ardell is my latest creation.
On the cover of the booklet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we built that boat for our family. It's sort of built sort of in response to the economic recession. We decided if we're going to go broke, we might as well do it all at once.
Oh, I love it. So, Essex is just above Gloucester, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we think of Gloucester now, you know, for the perfect storm.
Yeah.
And Essex is?
Essex, when the Gloucester, you know, exceeded Marblehead in the fisheries in the 1850s with the rail lines running into town, the Essex supplied the vessels.
Gloucester sent him out to sea to catch the fish.
Yeah, and quite a few made it back.
Well, speaking of which, you had your voyage down wasn't completely smooth sailing, as they say.
Well, yeah, it was pretty good. We were pretty happy to make it at all. When I set out, I didn't know whether I'd make it or not. My family was, you know, sort of doubtful whether we'd make it, and I was doubtful, but...
what was the problem?
Well, when you head off in a traditional sailing vessel, you just don't know whether the wind's going to be with you or against you, and we got most of the way to Cape May with, you know, going along pretty well, and then the last 20 miles or so was a pretty good beat to windward.
Yeah. How many feet were the waves?
8 to 10 footers. And,
yeah.
So
wow.
we don't usually go upwind, but we
Yeah.
figured this was a worthy
cause.
reason, and we were
Well,
close enough.
I'm
so.
personally happy you're getting a Heritage Award rather than having a book written about you by Sebastian Younger.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let's talk about your learning to become a shipwright. What have we got here?
I kind of, you learn in every little phase. There's a lot to it. First thing you have to do is really master sailing a vessel and handling it at sea. And then, you know, when I was a kid, I used to carve these models, and I used to carve models of vessels that other shipbuilders and designers had designed, and you learn a lot carving models of other people's boats. And then later, when I got hired to build a boat, I wound up going into the owner and telling him I didn't think much of his design. And he told me, he said, you know, architects and engineers and captains and everybody thought it was great. And he said, and you think it's terrible? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, build me anything you want. And I'd gone in to get fired and came out a designer. And luckily, I'd made enough of these models where...
kind of show what the hull's going to look like.
Where, yeah, I could bull my way through it. And my father was extremely helpful. Yeah. And you know, Eric Romberg, other designers, I showed him my model. I could just walk around with a model and say, what do you think? And
yeah.
Ralph Stanley, another Heritage Fellow, chimed in his piece. His son said...
Ralph Stanley, the boat man.
Yeah, I said, what do you think of the model, Ralph? Oh, very nice. And Richard says, aren't you going to tell them what you think? So
Well, no-
Ralph eventually told me what he thought.
No, what people are amazed by, I think, is that you're not talking about working off of plans on paper. You're talking about three-dimensional
Yeah,
modeling.
this is the design for the boat.
Yeah.
When it's all,
I love it.
You carve this out and you take it apart and take some measurements and
Plan
and
in your
lay it
hand.
down on the floor, and you can feel how the water's going to go past it and get a sense of how she's going to go in a sea.
Yeah.
And,
Well, we have a little bit of film here. Can we take a look at it, and that'll give us some more visual impression besides your carved model here.
This is the Schooner Fame that I built in 2003 for a friend of mine, Mike Rutstein. She's a representation of a privateer from
An old vessel,
1812.
old school, 1812.
1811,
Okay.
actually.
11,
And it was
okay.
used in the War of 1812.
Lord.
One of the more successful privateers. She's been a pretty good charter boat. That's my friend Tony Chaplick and Aaron running out with a hot plank.
What's the wood there?
That's white oak. We build them mostly out of white oak. And you can see they're moving pretty quickly because those planks are hot and you got to bend them when they're hot. And the guy that designed that boat was, not as good as the guys that built it, but luckily they could get him out of a jam.
Okay, how much of a turn you got there?
There's about a 4-foot radius on those planks, and they're 2-inch white oak.
Okay. Here's where it gets
about
really
as much
good.
as you can.
Look at
about
this. Whoa.
That's about as close as I get to performance art right there. What you can't see, there's the Ardell off the Cape May.
Here we are. This is the recent
sun
voyage.
was setting, and we tacked out, and most of the guys on board was like, "What are you thinking?" But
Okay.
there she is coming up the Washington Channel.
And Potomac, huh?
Yep.
Oh, I love
into
it.
Into the.
Gotta love it. This is great. You've got to be the first Heritage Award recipient that sailed here. It's a fine-looking vessel. What amazes me is how many of these grand vessels have been built in Essex over the years.
Yeah, we're about 4,000 with a population of about 1,500 people.
That's incredible.
It goes way back, and I'm really grateful to my father and my friends and family and everybody who chipped in, particularly the crews that have worked with me over the years. It's been amazing, and what's really cool is I've noticed in the last few vessels that the guys, instead of being older, have been younger. And I think there might be somebody interested in
carrying it
keeping
forward.
going.
Well,
Yeah.
Honestly, I expected when I read your bio and heard your name, I figured, well, I'll be talking to an old salt. And I'm like, hey, these guys are getting younger and younger out here, which is a great thing. And you mentioned that interesting word. You called it a representation, not a historic recreation.
Yeah, they're made to represent older styles of boats, and they're used for commercial passengers, what we often call cultural tourism. And in the business of taking cultural tourism, we also have to work within the Coast Guard regulations, which are aimed at bringing everybody back. And,
Right.
And so, I work with the Coast Guard a lot, and we have to kind of make sure that the boats are, a little more able, or able for a different suit of purpose.
Well, let me just wish you a tailwind going back to Essex, Massachusetts. Harold Burnham, Master Shipwright. Thank you so much, Harold. As we come to our final artist, I'd like to thank a few of the folks who have made this National Endowment for the Arts Heritage Fellowship concert possible. Thanks to our host here at Lisner Auditorium, GW. Great university, great place to be back to, great hall. The programming couldn't have been done without the leadership of the National Council for the Traditional Arts, and especially our Mayordoma, as I call her, Madeline Ramez. Madeline always has a cheering section right over here. I don't care where the hall is, I love that. And also want to thank the Executive Director, Julia Olin, from the NCTA. The director of the concert's been Paul Douglas McNevich. And I want to thank my crew back in New Orleans at American Roots. I think they're watching on television, even though they're radio people tonight. And we'll air this around Thanksgiving. So tune in to American Roots on Thanksgiving. And thanks to Tulane University, my home school back there. And all right, yeah, we've got a green wave guy over there. All right. And finally, let's acknowledge right now the work of our sign language interpreter over here, Jane Tu Bergren. Thanks to all. For many of you, Flaco Jimenez probably needs no introduction. I remember around 1972, there was an album called Doug Somm and Friends. And for a lot of people, that's when conjunto music made it out beyond the grand, deep, beautiful world of South and Central Texas Chicano communities. On that cover, there was a wonderful drawing. Somebody told me today it was the same guy that drew the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers, drew this cover. And on the cover was Bob Dylan, Dr. John, Fathead Newman, and yes, Flaco Jimenez. And Flaco went on to play with everybody from Ry Cooder to the Rolling Stones and many others. And at the same time, he's kept that accordion tradition in his heart. It came to him through his father and his grandfather, and it is still rooted firmly in South Texas and northern Mexico. Please make welcome Flaco Jimenez. Hola, Flaco.
Thank you.
You puede? Okay. Look at that. Looking sharp, Flaco.
Oh man, I feel great.
Good. I can
I'm
tell.
glad to be here and say hello to everybody around the world.
You got it. Now, when did you first pick up the accordion?
I was about 7 years old. I picked it up when my dad started recording. I was self-taught, because I saw him play.
And then you did it yourself.
Yes, and my grandpa used to go to little place around the San Antonio area, which is New Braunfels.
There's a big German population.
Yes,
Right.
Polish and,
Czech, Bohemian, yeah.
Yes.
And so there was a mixing between Mexican Texans and,
yes,
and
so
the European populations.
We picked it up from them, and then in 1936, my dad was the first one, or there was a
real early recording pioneer.
Yes,
Yeah.
Plus Narciso Martinez from the Valley of Texas.
Oh yeah, all those great
So
folks.
we picked it up and that oompa music,
Well, see, the thing I like about this is that his father's generation and grandfather Patricio also heard the European music and mingled it with the rancheras and the corridos and all these things.
Yeah.
And then in your generation, you kept that, but then you went out into this world with the Rolling Stones and Ry Cooder. What was it like to work with the Stones?
Well, when I was in my teens, I used to tune in the radio or whatever and heard some country, Hank Williams or whatnot, and then rock and roll. And so being a teenager, I liked the new stuff,
Sure.
So I managed to, try to blend in to that new kind of music.
Yeah. I mean, you also, of course, kept the music, the traditional
yes, my
music
roots,
as your foundation.
Yes,
I see your feet go right through the floor. The roots of your feet go right down.
Yeah.
I like that. What you did all these things, but I have to remember, Ry Cooder came to you for one of those records.
Yeah, the first one was Duck Sum, which
Right.
I
We
did
mentioned
with,
that,
with
Dylan and Dr. John.
yes,
and, right.
yes. And then came Peter Rowan with the bluegrass,
Yeah.
and then Ry.
The chicken skin music.
Chicken skin, yes.
Yes.
They'll never forget that one, though.
No, it's an amazing record. It's one of the all-time great ones. Well, are y'all ready to hear a little bit of Flaco Jimenez? All right, Flaco, I'll let you go over. Get set here. He's got with him Oscar Garcia on bass. All right, give him a round of applause. Raul Nuni Rubio Jr. on vocals and David Jimenez on drums. Flaco Jimenez y su conjunto.
es tu mamá. Esa rosa de Castilla prende y se vuelve a secar. ¿Cómo quieres que te olvides si ahorita te empiezo a amar? Flaco. Esta noche me la llevo de ese lucido lugar. Necesito un camino ancho y un árbol para descansar. Esta noche me la llevo de ese lucido lugar. Necesito un camino ancho y un árbol para descansar.
De la Sierra Morena, cielito lindo, vienen bajando. Un par de ojitos negros, cielito lindo, de contrabando. Ese lunar que tienes, cielito lindo, junto a la boca. No se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Se alegra, cielito lindo, los corazones. ese lunar que tienes, cielito lindo, junto a la boca. No se lo des a nadie, cielito lindo, que a mí me toca. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegran, cielito lindo, los corazones. Ay, 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 canta y no llores, porque cantando se alegra, cielito lindo, los corazones.
All right. Flaco Jimenez. Max Bach on bajo sexto. Oscar Garcia on bass. Raul Luni Rubio Jr. on vocals. And David Jimenez on drums. Muchas gracias, Flaco. And would you like to see once again those 2012 National Endowment for the Arts National Heritage Fellows? Let's have a big round of applause then. Beginning with, from Kensington, Maryland, Mike Auldridge. From Minot, North Dakota, Paul and Darlene Bergren. From Essex, Massachusetts, Harold Burnham. From Honolulu, Hawaii, Lynne Yoshiko Nakasone. From Princeton, Maine, Molly Neptune Parker. From Chesapeake, Virginia, the Paschall Brothers. From Brooklyn, New York, my man Andy Statman. From Montgomery, Alabama, Al Head. And from San Antonio, Texas, Flaco Jimenez. The 2012 National Heritage Fellows.
altas montañas, costas y valles, la tierra es para ti, para mí. ¡Flaco!
This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf waters. This land was made for you and me. One more time. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf waters. This land was made for you and me. God bless you. Thank you.
All right. All right, man. All right. Fantastic.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bless you. Hold it on, man. Thank you, everybody. Heritage Fellows, Flaco, Andy Statman, Michelle, all the singers, you, and good night. That's a good one. Hey, Marie.
I just have to say hi to you. My email.
Okay. Hey, Leslie. How you doing?